Michael has never brought me to tears. Did he upset me a lot? Yeah. I mean, he's a competitor.
How do you rank Michael Jordan?
So, the scale of 1 to 5?
5. 1 being the best, 5 being the worst.
1.
1. Ball handling.
1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Defender.
1.
But did you think you were better
Yes.
than Bird?
Yes. Yes.
Did you think you were better than Jordan?
Yes.
Was there anybody you didn't think you were better than?
I did not think Michael Jordan was better than me until he beat me in the finals.
Michael Jordan didn't just scare NBA players. He could make even Hall of Famers and champions nervous before the game began. These were some of the toughest competitors in basketball, yet Jordan had a way of getting into their heads with his confidence, intensity, and relentless approach. For some players, seeing Jordan on the schedule almost felt like bad news. So what did he do that made great NBA stars think, "Not this guy again"? The stories are surprising, funny, and a perfect example of why Jordan's presence alone could change the entire mood of a game.
To my fierce rival in the Central Division, yeah, Michael, I did push you too.
I got a question. This young generation thinks a certain way. Who is your GOAT basketball?
Here we go.
You know, it's funny. Everybody asks that question. And to me, I think Michael Jordan is the best in my eyes.
I mean, he was one of those guys, you know, I didn't fear anybody, but when I played against him, I ain't pissing him off. You know what I mean, Jay?
I wasn't Kobe.
Yeah, that's the only guy I would look and say, I ain't gonna piss him off. He hit a shot, be good shot. Good shot, MJ. I said, I ain't pissing him off, because I've seen him go for 40, 50 like it ain't nothing, because of guys, you know, being aggressive or trying to be overly physical with him. I said, I ain't pissing him off. Everybody else, I don't give a shit. But him, Black Jesus, I ain't messing with him.
With Michael Jordan on the court, basketball never felt like a normal game. Every possession could turn into a battle, and even the simplest play seemed dangerous when you were trying to stop him. His confidence, intensity, and relentless style made opponents feel like they had to survive every moment rather than simply play the game.
I was in the league when MJ came back at that age, right? Okay. He averaged 22, then 20. What's impressive about that is, we know what MJ was doing when he retired. Wasn't taking care of his body. What was he doing? Partying, drinking, golfing. So
he spent on me this one time in Houston, you know, everybody coming out there, all the bitches came out there to see Mike. Everybody, you know, all the bitches here, they come to see Mikey. That's, yeah, this motherfucker got this nigga jersey on more than they got Mac.
in A-Town? In A-Town, these motherfuckers, they quit old Max for them.
The biggest problem for anyone facing Michael Jordan was that he never seemed to feel the pressure that overwhelmed everyone else. While thousands of fans roared and elite athletes stood ready to challenge him, Jordan carried himself like he had nothing to fear. He looked completely comfortable in the biggest moments, as if he had simply walked onto a neighborhood court for another ordinary game.
I enjoy guarding Mike because he was, you know, the one thing I did with Mike is I never got him pissed off. Right? He make a shot, you say, good shot, Mike. You know, you don't talk trash to him so he can go off the 60.
I've never seen it before, and I had never seen it after. That wasn't Michael Jordan out there. That was God disguised as Michael Jordan.
Won a few battles. He always won the war. He's got 6 of them. And we took him 7 games. I just wish we'd have had more. I wish I could have gone against him more.
That was exactly what made Michael Jordan so intimidating. He didn't have to constantly prove that he was the greatest player on the floor because the scoreboard usually did it for him. His athleticism, confidence, fierce competitiveness, and perfect sense of timing came together in a way that felt almost impossible to defend. For opponents, that combination made every possession feel like another reminder of just how difficult Jordan was to stop.
I'm like, my hands were sweating, my ass was sweating and shit. So I get up, I'm like, yo, Mike, what up? And the wine glass, I just boom, knocked it over and it broke. I was like, oh shit. But he was cool about it. Like, he was like, yo, young fella, you're right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Go sit back down. You good. Ever since then, we've been locked in.
Players of all time.
Best 3 players of all time?
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Plenty of players could score, jump, defend, or talk with confidence, but Jordan brought all those qualities together when they mattered most. He could dominate with his talent while making opponents feel like something unbelievable was about to happen. That combination of skill, timing, and psychological pressure made Jordan even more dangerous, because sometimes the fear of what he might do was almost as powerful as what he actually did.
Going to come back 6 days before training camp and was ready in training camp. He wasn't preparing, doing all this, and that man averaged damn near 23 that year. Played 60. That's impressive.
The way that he played, everything that he brought to the table, not to take anything away from LeBron or Kobe. LeBron is great, but Michael was a killer from day one. He was an assassin from day one.
That anticipation alone could wear an opponent down. Imagine playing an entire game knowing the man in front of you is one of the most dangerous scorers ever, while also knowing that one tiny mistake could give him the chance to create a moment people would remember for decades. That kind of pressure could change everything, making players second-guess every move and feel like even the smallest opening might lead to disaster.
I feel like Michael Jordan was that athlete who pushed the game forward, pushed entertainment forward, culture forward. He just did so much by just his mere presence and his greatness on the basketball court that is bigger than basketball.
I think obviously Michael Jordan, he's like a reference for everyone who plays sports, I think he's obviously the one. If I could meet one sportsman, that's always my go-to answer.
Can't take anything away from either player. They're absolutely terrific players. You can only turn to the fact that Michael went to the final 6 times and won 6 championships. 7 games. How many 7th games in the final series did Michael have to go through?
Suddenly, every defensive mistake felt huge, and every missed shot seemed to carry extra weight. Whenever Jordan attacked the basket, the opposing bench probably needed a moment to breathe. Yet the most impressive part was how comfortable Jordan looked under that pressure. He never seemed overwhelmed by the moment. Instead, he appeared to thrive on it. The louder the crowd, the tighter the game, and the more desperate the defense became, the more confident Jordan looked. While his opponents worried about what could go wrong, Jordan focused on what he could make happen, and that difference often changed the game.
MJ in 86 and 87. Now, this is not the best player in the league. The man averaged 37 points and scored 3,000 points in the season. But Magic Johnson ended up winning MVP because he was on a better team.
Go Michael Jordan. I started playing the game because of Michael Jordan. So for me, from Chicago, where I grew up, I made it out the hood because I seen a dude, number 23, play the game of basketball at a level that I was like, I just want to do some of that.
One guy I was afraid of. And this was early. It was like, after 1 or 2 times, I kind of came back there. I was terrified of Michael Jordan. I don't know why. Maybe it was because I saw him on the posters or whatever, but like when we went to Chicago, the old Chicago, right, then we had to walk up them steps. I don't know if you remember that. And they said his name, and like he did those first couple moves. Like, man.
Most great players wanted to win, but Michael Jordan wanted something more: control. He wanted to dictate the pace, attack every weakness, and force the game to unfold on his terms. He could drive to the basket, create his own shot, defend the other team's best scorer, make a difficult pass, or suddenly take over the final minutes when everyone else ran out of answers. That was what made him so difficult to handle. Give him space, and he could knock down the shot. Crowd him, and he could explode past you. Try to push him away from the basket, and he would simply find another way to score. Defenders were constantly making choices, but almost every choice seemed to give Jordan another opportunity to punish them. Facing him felt like solving a puzzle where the puzzle itself was moving, changing, and waiting for one mistake.
Most people would say Michael, even your generation. Having said that, what I don't like about the GOAT conversation is that people believe if you pick someone, it's taken away from the other guy.
He was also the only guy, and I played against, I don't even know, but I played against a lot of guys that were Hall of Famers, played with a lot of Hall of Famers. Reggie Miller, Clyde Drexler, Mitch Richmond. He was the only guy Jordan, that I ever played against that at no point could you relax, ever, guarding him, because he was that voracious in wanting to attack.
So Michael walking back, I don't usually talk trash, but I had to that. So I said, Michael, if you don't turn into Air Jordan, we're going to blow y'all out. He started sweating. That tongue went long.
Jordan had another weapon that made him even harder to handle: confidence. He didn't just believe he could win. He carried himself like every game belonged to him. That attitude could frustrate opponents and push them to challenge him, but there was one major problem with trying to humble Jordan: you had to beat him first. And once someone questioned his ability, challenged his pride, or gave him even a small reason to prove himself, his legendary competitiveness could take over. That was when the matchup became personal, and opponents quickly learned that trying to make Jordan look ordinary could bring out an even more dangerous version of him. This is where his reputation became bigger than the numbers on the scoreboard.
Is there anything you learned playing with MJ?
No days off. No days off. When you walk in that gym, lace them up like it's game. That Chicago team, the work, extremely crazy.
Was people still fearing MJ, or they were still fearing MJ at that point?
Yes.
That's
Don't even finish the question.
Yeah, that is crazy.
You know, I remember playing against Mike, bro. I watched this dude in the first quarter score 17 points. I was so mesmerized.
Players knew exactly what Michael Jordan could do because they had watched him destroy defensive plans again and again. Coaches could spend days studying his tendencies, building complicated schemes, and preparing their players for every possible situation. Then the game would begin, and everyone would discover that having a plan to stop Jordan was much easier than actually stopping him. His psychological advantage was something no box score could measure. You can count his points, rebounds, assists, steals, shooting percentage, championships, and awards, but there is no number for the moment a defender begins questioning his own decision-making. Give Jordan too much space, and he could rise up for a jumper. Step too close, and he could explode toward the basket. Hesitate for even a fraction of a second, and Jordan could recognize the opening before the defense had time to recover. One defender might move closer to prevent the shot, only for Jordan to attack the space behind him. Another might back off to protect the drive, only to watch Jordan calmly take the jumper. That constant uncertainty was part of what made guarding Jordan so exhausting. Opponents weren't simply reacting to his moves, they were constantly trying to predict them, knowing that one wrong decision could give him everything he needed.
Michael Jordan was feared. Allen Iverson was feared. Kobe was feared. Guys who have the ability to score 30 to damn 70 points. They are feared.
Meeting Michael Jordan is just, that's my GOAT. That's somebody I've always seen as a GOAT in my household. So I think it was a dream come true, but it was just really cool that he was able to take the time and be able to meet him.
Were you also smack talker? Were you a big smack talker?
Of course.
Who'd you enjoy talking smack to?
Everybody. Everybody.
Was there anybody that you kind of avoided talking smack to because if you did, your spirit got bigger and they wanted to beat you, or?
Michael Jordan. You don't want to mess with God.
The punishment wasn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes, the most intimidating part was how effortlessly Michael Jordan could make an incredibly difficult play look completely ordinary. He could knock down a nearly impossible shot, turn around, and calmly run back on defense as if he had just completed the simplest task. He didn't need a huge celebration because the basket had already made the statement. That calm reaction made his dominance even more unsettling. When another player hits a difficult shot and looks shocked that it went in, you know the moment surprised even them. Jordan often created the exact opposite feeling. He could make an unbelievable shot look like the obvious result, almost as if everyone should have expected it. For defenders, that created a different kind of pressure. They weren't simply trying to stop one of the greatest players ever. They were trying to convince themselves that stopping him was still possible, even after Jordan had spent years making the impossible look routine.
The young dudes in the league that were coming into the league grew up watching MJ. Like MJ be at the jump ball, and he could sense it. Our point guard was like Chris Wood. You'll see Witt. Let me get it early tonight. Young fellas and all. Like you'll see certain guys, they look at this.
Seeing it all. I got him.
You'll see like young fella looking at the shoe, the leg brace.
I'm just watching him. I'm like, damn, dude, what kind of cologne you got? This nigga smell good as shit out here. You know what I'm thinking? Yeah. He was like an enigma, dude.
It was the best player in the league when you first got in was who?
Mike.
And it wasn't close.
No, Mike was in his damn prime.
When you first saw him, what was your experience?
No sleep the night before, because I was like just anxious and nervous and ready, you know, because I know I was playing against the best player ever. You can get your...
Jordan's athletic ability was a huge part of what made him so difficult to stop. His speed, footwork, balance, body control, elevation, and quick changes of direction gave him an incredible collection of physical advantages. But talent alone doesn't explain why opponents felt so much pressure when they faced him. Jordan also understood the mental side of basketball, where confidence, anticipation, intelligence, composure, and the courage to attack can be just as important as physical skill. While other players sometimes saw pressure as something to survive, Jordan often treated it as an opportunity to take control. When defenses tightened, he didn't become passive, and when the crowd got louder or the stakes became higher, he seemed even more comfortable. He looked less like a player hoping to escape the moment, and more like someone waiting for that moment to belong to him. That's why the idea of fear around Jordan is so interesting. These were elite professionals who weren't literally afraid of stepping onto the court, but they understood the danger of giving Jordan even the smallest opening. He could recognize a weakness almost instantly and turn it into a major problem before the defense had any chance to recover.
Hold on. You said LeBron James the greatest player ever?
Ever.
What about Michael and
For his teammates whom we were afraid of him. And there was just fear. Yeah, let's not get it wrong. He was an asshole. He was a jerk. He crossed the line numerous times. But as time goes on and you think back about what he was actually trying to accomplish, you're like, yeah, he was a hell of a teammate.
He's going to catch the ball, throw it into Rick Smits, and go spot up. And you're like, okay, this is somebody else's problem. All of those guys kind of did that, not him. Because of the dynamic of their offense and the way it was constructed, and there was no throwing it into guys unless it was thrown in a triangle specifically to get some sort of action for Michael. So you could just never, ever relax because the guy just wanted to relentlessly go at you. And that, to me, is what separated him from anybody I ever played.
That possibility alone could change how an opponent played. A player who normally attacked without hesitation might suddenly become careful, while a defender known for taking smart risks could start playing it safe. Entire teams could begin focusing so much on Jordan that they stopped playing their natural game and started worrying about what he might do next. Once one player forces the entire defense to think about him constantly, he already has an advantage before the ball is even in the air. Jordan could take up enormous space in an opponent's mind without even touching the basketball, and that may be one of the clearest signs of true dominance. His impact went beyond scoring or defense because he could change the personality of the team facing him. Even more impressive, Jordan seemed to enjoy the pressure that made everyone else uncomfortable. He wanted the final shot, the toughest defensive assignment, and the biggest moments. While others felt the weight of the stage, Jordan appeared to become even more dangerous when everything was on the line.
Jake, hear about MJ's comments.
Oh, man, I love MJ. That's my guy. He's the GOAT.
That's your Chauncey Gray.
What's your all-time five?
I mean, MJ. Why is it so easy for you to give him his props? If you ain't ever faced him, you don't understand. If you ain't never faced Mike, only a real one. You can't make that comment. Yeah. When you played against Mike, his eyes were bloodshot red. Everything. It's like he was possessed. I used to sit there and say, all right, I got to go work tonight. Jesus is coming. You know, and so he and I, we had so much respect. But I'm going to tell you when I knew how good he was. When we was in college, I was a junior, he was a freshman. We played in Carolina. And the first time James Worthy and I had a chance to play against one another since high school. So in high school, we came out the same area. And the game was back and forth, the whole game, close. Worthy was having a hell of a game. I was having a hell of a game. In the last 2 minutes of the game, a young kid named Michael Jordan took over.
More importantly, Jordan seemed to welcome the chance to prove that whatever the opposing team had prepared would not be enough to stop him. That mindset created some of the most unforgettable moments of his career. There were games when he appeared completely unstoppable, but the most memorable part wasn't simply the points he scored. It was the feeling that the game was slowly becoming Jordan's game. At some point, the opposing players could sense the momentum changing, the crowd could feel the tension rising, and his teammates knew Jordan was beginning to take control. Yet through all of it, Jordan often looked remarkably calm, as if nothing unusual was happening at all. He could dominate under the brightest lights while carrying himself like the pressure was simply part of the job. For everyone else, the moment could feel overwhelming, but for Jordan, it was another opportunity to prove that when the stakes were highest, he was still the player nobody wanted standing in their way.
I'm saying,
I'm sure you've talked about this before. This is for my own curiosity. The aura of MJ at that time, your rookie year, he's coming off 2 championships. He's coming off the Dream Team. He's at the peak of MJ. What is it like just being on the floor with him, man?
I don't know what God looks like. It's like seeing God.
Really? Yeah.
That is one reason Michael Jordan's reputation lasted far beyond his playing career. Even players who never shared the court with him knew the stories, while fans who watched him decades ago still remembered the feeling he created every time the game was on the line. Younger generations discovered him through highlights and quickly noticed the same combination of movement, confidence, competitiveness, and control. Jordan eventually became more than a superstar. He became the standard everyone else was measured against. Great scorers were compared to him, clutch performances were judged against his biggest moments, and every new superstar with enormous confidence eventually faced the question of whether they could handle pressure the way Jordan once did. That is what happens when an athlete dominates an era so completely that his name becomes part of the language of competition. Jordan didn't just win games, he created the expectation that he was supposed to win, and that shifted the pressure onto everyone facing him. Opponents weren't simply trying to win anymore. They were trying to prevent Jordan from doing what everyone already expected him to do. And when he scored, took over late, or hit another unbelievable shot, nobody could truly say they were surprised. They had seen enough to know that with Jordan, the impossible could happen at any moment.
MJ coming back to play pickup in college back at Carolina. He picked all of the walk-ons. Didn't come off the court the rest of the day. Spanking y'all. All of a sudden, you seeing walk-on players doing stuff like, bro, where'd you get this game from all of a sudden? Who he is, his aura, and how he just uplifts. I mean, we see the story with Steve Kerr's like, hey, you pass it to me, I'll be ready. Like, it was one of those. And these guys didn't disappoint. And
The stories are true about his competitiveness. So now we playing, right? And we winning. We winning games. And so every time we win, you go get water. And I'm watching Mike, and he's standing in the middle of center court. I walk up, I'm like, yo, what are you doing? He's like, I want them up to know that I'm never leaving.
The most surprising thing about Michael Jordan was not when he did something incredible. It was when he looked ordinary, because that almost never seemed to last. That is why so many stories about him carry the same message, even when the opponents and situations are completely different. Someone thought they had finally figured him out, and Jordan found another answer. Someone believed the defense had him contained, and he discovered another way to break through. Someone expected the pressure to finally affect him, and Jordan responded as if nothing unusual had happened. That may have been his greatest weapon of all. He could make extraordinary performances feel completely normal. When a player dominates at that level and treats it like another day at work, the people facing him eventually begin to question whether they were ever really in control of the game at all.
That's been a big debate for a while,
No question.
I just think that if you look at Michael, the body of work he's done over the years, you look at LeBron, the body of work he's done over the years. How many years? 17 now, going to 18. Michael is the greatest player ever. Michael's been injured one time. He never asked to sit out. He never asked for anything. He only asked for respect.
That's what make him a bad boy and the best that's ever done it. Huh? Don't get it twisted. I love LeBron, but
boy,
no. I love him, but when Michael Jordan took off with that tongue out.
And this is where Michael Jordan's legend starts sounding almost unbelievable, because he didn't need a championship on the line to become dangerous. Sometimes, a simple practice, a careless comment, or even the wrong look could be enough to flip a switch. Most players treated practice as a place to sharpen their skills, but Jordan could treat it like a serious competition where someone had just questioned whether he was still the best. The difference wasn't that he wanted to win, every NBA player did. Jordan simply seemed to take competition more personally than almost anyone else. A missed shot could bother him, a bad possession could stay in his mind, and any suggestion that he wasn't good enough could become motivation. Yet he rarely needed to make a scene about it. Instead, he would become more focused, more aggressive, and more relentless, letting his performance deliver the message. That mindset made even ordinary practices feel serious for anyone who happened to be competing against him.
His mentality in professional games, and then seeing him walk into our gym, the same mentality, calling shots. I watched this man destroy one of our guys. He was a former player playing in the league. Watched him destroy this guy on the court in the summer.
Yeah.
Calling shots, talking to everybody on the sideline what he's gonna do. Like, that was him.
I'm gonna be the first to stand here and the last. It's like, all right, so we both got stand here. And I was like, hey, so we doing? Yeah, I mean, he was the first dude that I met that could back up his trash. Like, every day. Every day.
Always a talker?
Always a talker, and always backed it up, though. And he really took more pride, especially than his defense.
You can prepare for a player with incredible athletic ability, a great shooter, or predictable tendencies. Coaches can study film and create a defensive plan to limit those strengths. But how do you prepare for someone who becomes even more determined the moment he feels challenged or embarrassed? That was the problem opponents faced with Michael Jordan. He had a unique relationship with adversity. While most players hoped difficult situations would become easier, Jordan often used those moments as fuel. The tougher the challenge became, the more motivated he seemed to prove that he could overcome it. That made every mistake feel dangerous because one opening could quickly turn into a series of problems. Jordan also knew how to transfer that pressure back onto the defense. Attack the same defender repeatedly, and that player starts worrying about the next possession. Hit a difficult shot, and suddenly the defense begins wondering if another one is coming.